Hey, Banner.
No Banner, only Hulk.
And from what Marvel let us see, the next step of this involution will be, ladies and gentlemen, the incredible Red Han Solo. But let's pretend we didn't see this, and let's think, how do we go from this to this? Let's see. In the beginnings of Marvel, Stan Lee created the character of Hulk based on the plot of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. A doctor who through a potion becomes someone very evil, and Marvel replicated this formula but multiplied by 20, creating the Incredible Hulk. Years go by. Marvel is growing in popularity thanks to the Spider-Man saga and the X-Men, so they make the risky decision to start a series of films with related characters, the famous Marvel Cinematic Universe, and including the Incredible Hulk in its formula. Hulk's dynamic was based on creating tension in the environment. That is, Hulk was a very powerful ally for the Avengers, being the reason for his recruitment. But at the same time, it is shown how Bruce Banner cannot control his superpower, making him also a threat to the Avengers themselves, which occurred in the first of the saga, Avengers, and in Avengers Age of Ultron. Being in a room with Banner was a great tension, since at any moment the Green Giant could erupt. Even Bruce himself was afraid of Hulk, causing him great mental trauma, feeling guilty of the things his other half did. And that was the contribution of the Green Giant in the MCU, until...
That's right. Been a while. Good to have you, buddy.
I need to concentrate here for a second.
one of the biggest nerfs in history. The biggest cinematic event in the history of superheroes, and they turned this unstoppable superhero into a middle-aged man with impotence. But what the hell led to this happening? The movie gives the excuse that the Hulk was scared by the menacing Thanos. But let's be honest, we all know that this happened because of the powers of the script, even being admitted directly by the directors themselves.
We just didn't know what to do with them. We were like, what, this big powerful character? What do we do with this big powerful character?
The sheer power that Hulk possessed was the reason he was depowered, partially, since he was beat by the Hulkbuster armor. But then again, do you really believe this? It's not as menacing as this, right? And from there on, things got better for Hulk. No. Marvel's next step to fade the powers of the Green Man was to turn him into just a skin. The next step of Hulk's involution, Smart Hulk. Marvel brought a concept already seen in the comics, which was the idea that Bruce Banner could become the strong Hulk, keeping his conscience and intelligence, something very convenient, right? Well, not so much. The idea that Hulk is a wild animal that is difficult to control gave a boost of adrenaline to the situations in Marvel. It was unpredictable. We didn't know if he was going to thunderclap a Chitauri soldier or smash Captain America's face in. Instead, we get Smart Hulk, a character who is strong, but his blows are more controlled than the original Hulk's. He is not as wild, making his strength not as useful, turning Hulk into pretty much a guy on steroids, more the appearance than the actual strength. And from then on, Hulk has not returned to being the wild man he was before. But wait, MCU, let's add more crap to the pile while we're at it. Enter She-Hulk. We have seen the complete transformation from a wild and violent monster to the typical man we see in the gym uploading photos for Instagram. And of course, Bruce suffers a lot because of his superpower, and it is fair that he has his happy ending, but that is another problem. It has to be an ending. If we solve the problems of a character halfway through a movie, the rest of the plot loses its meaning and it becomes boring. So, if the MCU solves Bruce's violent Unchained curse in previous movies, but he's going to continue appearing in future movies, what is the point? This puts a huge WTF question mark for future MCU stories involving the Hulk, and Marvel knew they effed up big time. They dug themselves a hole they could not crawl back out of. Hulk was not sellable anymore. They could not create a solo movie on that character anymore. So, drumroll, Marvel Studios pulls out one of its many wildcards from way up its sleeve, the Red Hulk. General Ross, who has been appearing since the beginning of the MCU, has had a clear mission: to make life impossible for the Avengers. from hunting down Hulk in his first film to trying to imprison Captain America, Black Widow, and yes, Falcon. Ross has wanted to maintain control over everything he can, and in the next film, Captain America: Brave New World, Ross becomes none other than the President of the USA, asking to have at his side the person he was chasing years before, Falcon. He wants to form a new team of the Avengers, but as a government organization, just as Ross wanted in Civil War. So at some point in the next film, Ross will end up becoming the Red Hulk, a known character from the comics who finally appears on screen due to some experiments with DNA modification, turning Ross into a creature very similar to Hulk. But for those of you who didn't read the comics, the Red Hulk can absorb the energy of his opponents, turning him into a quite dangerous and yes, unchained violent character. Something we missed about the Incredible Hulk. Add to the fact that Ross being a military man, he has more knowledge in combat and fewer scruples to attack or not, greatly differentiating him from the Incredible Hulk. But if he is such a high-level antagonist, what is the problem? Well, remember what I mentioned about the previous works of the MCU? Well, fear has a reason. Since Marvel has been trying to speed up the amount of Marvel releases, the special effects workers have not only had massive amounts of pressure, but they have not been allowed to properly finish the special effects in time, allowing things like this. And Marvel has known this, which is why they've taken a break from the amount of releases, starting with the only theatrical release this year being Deadpool and Wolverine. Compare this to the 3 movies and 3 series last year. So in this time of recess, it can be good for Marvel so they can give their work a better finish. But we also have to think about all the problems that this movie has had on top of it. Reshoots have been the order of the day for Marvel. This movie was supposed to finish filming in June 2023, and it turned out to be May 2024, and they were still filming additional scenes. Why? Rumors indicate that the film has been quite disappointing in the screen tests, including the action scenes, which supposedly do not reach the level of excitement of the previous ones, such as in the Captain America saga. So Marvel fast-tracked the creative team, starting with a bunch of script rewrites. But having new scenes means that there are new special effects which have to be rendered, and with that, the premiere of this film that is less than 6 months away, there is fear that Red Hulk may end up looking like this. Marvel's not going to have it easy for the next few years. Most likely this next film will be a hard blow to the critics of the producer. But beyond the commercial weight that this may have, this is the progressive death of a figure for Marvel. The Green Hulk will never come back, and maybe the Red Hulk is used to take the baton forward. We see how the weight argumentative of someone so iconic is reduced to being simply a toy doll that appears only to fill a poster. For someone as important to pop culture as Hulk is, turning him into a filler character is unforgivable and already something very regrettable. So, what can truly be asked of Marvel? Maybe that it does what at one time made it so successful, beyond the cameos, the team-ups, or the special effects themselves, is to reignite the affection that it has made us feel for the characters, that we all grew up reading about or watching in movies. That when we go to the cinema to see one of its films, it's not simply because it's the trending film, but that we go to the cinema to revisit an old friend and see what new story they have to tell us. So, what do you guys think? Can the Green Hulk ever be revived to the glory days? Are you bored of Smart Hulk and cannot wait for Red Hulk? Or is Red Hulk a possible way to bring back Green Hulk in a Showdown reboot? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. This video is made by movie fans for movie fans.